I just wanted to start off by thanking you, Thomas, and Adrian and Zan for allowing us to participate and present at this wonderful conference. And we're getting a lot of value out of it. And we're going to be going back and reviewing the video save on this. So thank you very much. And hello, Dennis. I believe you're moderating. Nice to see you.
That's great.
Hi. We'll do our best to go very quickly and let's see, it's starting at 3:15. So if I have 20 minutes from now, is that okay? Or do I have 15 minutes? Because
let's say if you shoot for 15, if you want to give Dennis time to ask you some questions, but
yeah, okay.
Just do your best. Go.
Okay, here we go. So Gila Therapeutics is exploiting a previously unexploited pathway to deliver gut peptides to the topical lingual environment, which we believe will allow us to treat obesity and metabolic disease in general, starting off with obesity with our lead peptide PYY 336. We're raising $10 million in Series B on the heels of a very successful phase 1, and that will allow us to generate early proof of concept data, specifically 3-month weight loss data, which is the FDA mandated phase 2 level of obesity clinical outcome. We're going to go very quickly. Obviously, this problem is the core of the meeting. So we won't spend a lot of time on this, other than saying that there are shortcomings with the current treatment paradigms led largely by the GLP-1 receptor agonist class and insulin. Side effects, and specifically GLP-1 receptor agonists, are limited by dose, are limited by side effects and nausea, and thereby don't have the clinical impact that they could have without the side effect. What we are pioneering is a solution that, additive to GLP-1, can produce great weight loss without adding any side effects or a safety profile. So it's kind of a holy grail approach. What our lead peptide is PYY 336 in a orally dissolving tablet format. We're going to be working with Catalent on the Zydis platform to deliver this tablet. It will melt on your tongue and in less than a minute signal pathways that help drive very high levels of satiety. The obesity sector in general has been languishing so much in terms of investor interest, and we just point to some of these recent deals showing how that interest is starting to increase with some of the deals at the bottom, and then obviously the big two corporates in the space, Novo and Eli Lilly, have each announced recently groundbreaking new weight loss results. In Novo's case, with the semaglutide 2.4 milligram once weekly injection, Wegovy, and Eli Lilly tirzepatide, which is pending approval, and it's the GLP-1 receptor agonist in GIP, producing now in the 12 to 13% placebo-subtracted weight loss range. Very encouraging for us. Joining me on the call today is co-founder and original CEO, Tom Vasicek, who's got a wonderful background in this space, specifically in the peptide delivery space at Millennium, and then at Medtronic, where he was attempting to deliver peptides such as PYY through the MiniMed pump system. I came recently from GI Dynamics, was running a clinical trial, a pivotal trial for the co-primary endpoints of type 2 diabetes, A1C reduction, and total weight loss. We're absolutely delighted to work with these amazing clinicians on our team, many of whom are known very well in the industry, and we're some of the early PYY researchers, all very close friends as well as colleagues. So we're going to go very quickly through this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the science given our timing, but on the left is depicted kind of a generic look at systemically delivered drugs. So you have oral, very few oral drugs in our space, and most are injectables, and produce a systemic exposure that hits everywhere in your body. What we are doing is putting the drug, a very small micro dose of the drug, on the tongue, on the top of your tongue, and then transmitting a signal up the 9th cranial nerve root, or the glossopharyngeal nerve root, up to the hypothalamus and NTS, avoiding all areopostrema and nausea center. We've confirmed that with CFOS imaging we'll get to in a second. So very basically, the GLP-1 receptor agonists are all systemic, including the oral version, Rybelsus. And while they do achieve a great amount of satiety and other metabolic effect, they hit the nausea center very heavily, creating high discontinuance rate and a nausea AE rate. What we do is attack the problem in a non-systemic fashion, and have shown in animal CFOS imaging that we have fully saturate the hypothalamus and the NTS, the nucleus tractus solitarius, without activating at all any part of the nausea center. So very basically, it's a simple depiction of that. So we're going to flip through a few preclinical models and then get to the phase 1, talk about what we're doing. So these are weight gain models controlled with water. It's an oral spray in the 20-day, showing decreased weight gain after introduction of a high-fat model, and in day 8. In this model, we have a 28% difference in weight loss from a 5% gain to a 23% loss, or 28% delta over an 8-week period in preclinical with the PYY. This is showing CFOS imaging, as well as our control on nausea using taste aversion assay, where animals can't tell you that they're nauseous, but they will avoid foods which create nausea, and show that the PYY oral spray in the far right does not create a taste aversion. This is a PK slide under the topic of toxicity, showing that while PYY intraperitoneal injection produces very high levels of PYY in the system, the oral spray produces equivalent to water, the PYY systemic. And if people are familiar with prior attempts to deliver PYY, it's violently and immediately emetic. So you are going to have major issues very quickly after delivery of PYY. Again, taste aversion pairing. And then this underscores our holy grail approach, which is a combination of topical lingual PYY and GLP-1 together in a single dose, showing almost all avoidance of weight gain, and showing that the green line, which is the topical lingual PYY, and the red line, GLP-1, when combined, produce much greater benefit than either alone. And it basically, one way to phrase this is adding the topical lingual PYY to the GLP-1 increases weight loss by 2 to 3x. On a clinical side, this is our phase 1, 12 subjects, ascending dose over a 2-week period. You can see the doses in the center here, and you see the schedule of assessments on the right. On the AE side, because safety is a primary endpoint of the phase 1, essentially no AEs. We had one patient overeat on their last day of the treatment, and it was deemed not to be treatment related. What this shows is the visual analog scoring for the overall appetite score, which is well known in industry. And at time 0, dosing and the meal occur. Time 30, everybody's full. But what happens after 2 hours is those patients receiving the placebo in orange start getting hungrier, and will increase to get hungrier, while those taking this target dose of 250 micrograms are as full 2 hours after eating as they were immediately after eating. On a dose response basis, you can see on the right, the 225 and 250 microgram doses have the highest dose response. To put this in context, Saxenda, we're using the same scoring system, the Blundell VAS scoring system, produced a 10% increase in satiety at their 2 target approved doses. And at the same time, 2 hours after dosing, we produced a 20% increase in satiety, twice Saxenda's. And Saxenda, as a reminder, is $1 billion drug marketed by Novo. So in summary, we have this very unique approach to efficacy, and an entirely unique approach to safety, in that there is no PK, there's no entry of the drug in no detectable levels in the bloodstream. And that is both in the preclinical and human data reinforced that there's no nausea or emesis. We are undergoing an 18-month plan with the $10 million to do multiple OUS POC studies, both placebo-subtracted weight loss study and then the GLP-1 receptor agonist additive study. Those are both depicted here. The protocol summaries, target profiles, orally dissolving tablet using the Catalent Zydis system, And again, underscoring the fact that we have multiple hormones that we can deliver with this lingual activation to neural targeting mechanism of action. Our lead program, again, topical lingual PYY 336, and then a combination of PYY and GLP-1. We also feel that there's a way to attack some of the other areas of the weight management paradigm, because most people talk about the center panel, which is chronic weight loss, panel 2, and spend less time on panels 1 and 3. We think panel 3, especially the topical lingual application of leptin, will help with weight loss maintenance. And you see in the studies, as soon as the study dose is discontinued, patients start rebounding on their weight immediately. And obviously the drugs only work when you take them. So we need to come up with other ways of helping patients without the side effects achieve weight loss and then maintain the loss. On an IP basis, we have University of Florida in-licensed intellectual property, and then the company has generated a significant amount of additional company-filed IP, generally focused on the mechanism of delivery and effects of that mechanism. But we also, since there is no PK, it makes it very difficult for someone on an IP basis to work around our expired IP when it starts expiring in the late 2030s and early 2040s, because there's no way to establish bioequivalence. On a comp basis, we would draw a very close comp, we believe, to Emisphere, which was acquired by Novo Nordisk in December of last year for $1.8 billion all up front. They are a novel delivery platform that is essentially a coding technology to deliver the GLP-1 Rybelsus down to the gut, where it is then broken down and distributed into the bloodstream for systemic delivery. And we feel we're a good comp for that. So in summary, got the basic science very well characterized broadly and deeply on a preclinical basis as well. Phase 1 went extremely well, and we're now looking towards generating the next step in our development, which is 3-month weight loss in those 2 models. And a summary. So that was 11 minutes, and I pause for questions. Apologize for going so quickly. It's hopefully seen as an artifact of my time.
So now, Dennis, you do have time for some questions here.
No.
Intentionally.
Thanks, Scott. This is a big deal. Congratulations on the progress. Do you think going forward that most of the trials you're going to do are going to be combo trials? And does that create any issues or problems going forward? I know you're going to do one with just PYY, but what do you think in terms of kind of getting through approval? Is it going to have
certainly.
to be?
Oh, sorry, Dennis.
Yeah, go ahead. Combo?
Yeah, so there are kind of 2 combo answers. Combo answer number 1, with PYY, for example, we're simply combining it on the right, on the column on the right, on top of a currently marketed and approved GLP-1 receptor agonists like semaglutide or any of the liraglutide, duaglutide classes,
Right.
and making them better. And we think that the marketing message will be that taking this additional drug that has no additional side effects will make your current GLP-1 much better, or allow you to achieve equivalent benefit, clinical benefits, while decreasing the dose and thereby making the GLP-1 side effect profile better. But the primary regulatory approach with this program is a standalone drug, which is the left column, just the placebo-subtracted PYY on its own. So that's a single agent efficacy and single agent development plan. But it is a little complicated because then we do plan on a single dosing of the combination, and we do expect that to be much more complicated. We will have to, and we plan to, run single agent dosing of GLP-1, topical lingual GLP-1, not systemic GLP-1 first, and then combining the 2. Once we had to figure out the dose ranging on the GLP-1, we think there's early support in the literature for a symbiotic relationship between PYY and GLP-1 in an exogenous format. So when one is dysregulated, the other performs poorly, we believe. And so by combining the 2, we're going to solve a problem that is currently not solved, but it will be more complicated. And we have talked to the strategics, as you might imagine, and you might imagine that some of these strategics have drugs coming to the market like tirzepatide, which is a combination of GIP and GLP-1. So There are many other combinations in the wings. I'll flip back to the appendix here. They didn't show, and you can see some of the combination therapies under development on this slide. And the top again is the tirzepatide, as I mentioned with Lilly, but there are others. So it is more complex, Dennis, certainly.
Yeah. And you mentioned Series A. Were they individuals, a friend and family, or who was that?
Dennis, you're asking all the questions that I have hidden here in the back of the presentation.
Oh,
So our institutional lead was Broadview Ventures in Boston, and then we have Biograph that came in later. Our founder, Tom, is in there, both as an investor and you can see, but we have a number of smaller funds like iSelect and Epic, but it has been largely, besides Broadview, this wonderful group of investors that Tom brought in Minneapolis. And I'm in Boston, Tom's in Minneapolis, we're virtual. We're gonna open up an office in Boston with the Series B.
Got it. And you didn't hit on this, and maybe just briefly, the rest of the management team, who else is on the team?
Tom and I, and we just added, she's not even in the slides yet. We added the
Did you?
wonderful clinician.
Oh, you did it at the beginning. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. It is Tom and I.
Yeah.
The new slide, which is being edited right now, Sangeeta Kashyap, who is an endocrinologist, a research endocrinologist at the Cleveland Clinic. This wonderful clinician. She's known very well to this group because she works on clinical trials with all of them, and worked with me at GI Dynamics. She headed up one of the study committees and was extremely helpful in reviewing protocols and helping us evolve the study design. She is joining as our contract chief medical officer and will be the third person of our management team. Use of proceeds from the B, our primary hire will be VP of ClinOps. Need somebody to run the trials for us. And essentially that will be it. It will be a lean team, one or two other people, but that's it.
Got it.
Thank you.